Northeast Arkansas News is brought to you by Glenn Sain.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for your Northeast Arkansas Late News. I'm Josh Egbert. Arkansas State Police and the Poinsett County Sheriff's Department investigating the death of an infant in Harrisburg after officers found the baby dead in a dryer. Northeast Arkansas's Simone Jamison has reaction.
Poinsett County District Court Judge Ron Hunter charged 25-year-old Tyra Neal with second-degree murder and abuse of a corpse in Thursday's probable cause hearing. Poinsett County officers arrested Neal earlier this week for allegedly leaving her 1-month-old baby to die in a dryer.
We see bad things every day. That's what we get called to deal with. It does hit home and it's hard on the heart.
The infant's body was sent to Arkansas's crime lab, which revealed the baby suffered burns to 60% of her body. The crime lab ruled thermal injuries as the infant's cause of death. Tyra Neal is currently being held here at the Poinsett County Detention Center on a $1 million cash-only bond. District Court Judge Ron Hunter also issued Neal a no-contact order for anyone under the age of 16, including her 3 children. Jennifer Holyfield says she is saddened by the infant's death. She is a child abuse survivor who is also battling depression and psychosis. She believes mental illness, drugs and alcohol addiction, or both, could have led Neal to take her child's life.
The judgment, is how could you do that? Well, when you suffer from mental illness, you don't know. A part of you is lost. You're not yourself. It's been maybe one of the voices in her head or something of that nature may have told her to do that.
Holyfield says she is not seeking sympathy for Neal, but discussions to help prevent similar acts and even help to restore Neal's family.
And if she gets treatment and she fights whatever is haunting her mind, then I believe eventually she should be able to see her children.
Tyra Neal is scheduled to appear in circuit court on July 31st. I'm Simone Jameson for Northeast Arkansas News.
If convicted, Neal could face 6 to 30 years for a second-degree murder charge and an additional 3 to 10 years for abusing a corpse.
Now, your first weather.
And some warm temperatures out there for today. Northeast Arkansas saw highs in the low 90s, but when you put that dew point in the 70s along with these temperatures, that put that heat index or that feel-like temperature into the triple digits. We're at 102 to 104 is what it felt like late this afternoon. And it looks like we'll keep these warm temperatures and this heat index and humidity around at least for much of our Saturday, but there's a front that's going to come through the area late Saturday night. Could bring some strong thunderstorms along with that, and also could bring a little bit cooler weather back by Sunday with highs dropping back into the 80s on Sunday afternoon. But it was a hot one across the entire state here today. 90 degrees in Jonesboro, 92 down in Monticello and El Dorado as well. 93 degrees Hot Springs, 95 over in Russellville, 97 the high temperature in Fort Smith. For the weekend here in Northeast Arkansas, then 93 should be the high on Saturday, but again the heat index or feel like temperature, probably close to 105 or 106 across the area, so definitely need to take some precautions if you're going to be out and about doing anything outdoors. And need to take plenty of breaks and drink plenty of fluids and find that shade tree as much as possible as well. Could see some showers and thunderstorms come in later in the afternoon and into the evening. Some of those storms could produce some damaging winds. 85 the high on Sunday, mostly sunny skies, so not quite as hot. It looks like less humid weather and some very pleasant weather to start early next week, but the warm weather does return, and by the end of next week, it looks like highs will be back in the low 90s across our area. And we'll talk more about your weekend forecast coming up in just a few more minutes. Josh?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, crews were busy at work in Paragould today after last night's storms. Northeast Arkansas's Alexis Padilla tells us more about the damages that they found.
Thursday was a night of work for Jeremy Heath. He was getting ready to finish his first week of running Tidy Hamper when there was an unexpected turn of events.
All of a sudden the lights went out, and once the lights went out, I heard a kind of a loud noise, and then when they came back on, so I stepped to the front, and the awning across the entire front of the building had blown off and down and on top of my vehicle.
Pieces of Tidy Hamper's building were found a quarter-mile away down the road. Last night's storms also left trees down and broken poles. The down lines left some homes without power. Brand new poles are already making their way up.
People think, well, I've been out all morning or I've been out a few hours, and just something like this, people, you see just wires on a pole. Well, there's a lot more to it, and it's just time consuming.
Crews from Paragould's Light, Water, and Cable have been out for hours making repairs from last night's storm. The worst they've seen so far today, though, are these down power lines right behind me. The damage overall, though, they are saying could have been worse.
Just wind damage. We had a few broken poles and a lot of stuff in the backyard, services, and just minor things like that.
Heath also agrees that things could have been worse. Fortunately for Tidy Hamper, all their equipment inside is safe.
We're still able to do everything just like we were, and you know, we're able to serve our customers without any type of delay or anything of that nature. So, you know, we're going to be here, and you know, we're not going to miss a beat.
For Northeast Arkansas News, I'm Alexis Padilla.
The Salvation Army of Jonesboro is asking for the community's help in restocking its food drive for the summer. The Salvation Army Food Pantry is accepting dry and canned goods. That includes but not limited to cereal, canned vegetables and meats, crackers, potatoes, hamburger helper, beans and rice, and ramen noodles. The Salvation Army is also in need of baby formula, diapers, and wipes. Sue Webster of the Salvation Army says donations tend to take a plunge in the summer months. Inventory is low, but the demand for food is still high.
For the month of May alone, we served 54 families and a total of 172 people. That was just for the month of May. And with summer being here now, we have a great demand of more families needing food.
Interesting. The Salvation Army is also accepting blankets and toiletry donations. The food pantry is open from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Well, their boots were made for helping. Jonesboro firefighters had been out since 7 a.m. for their annual Fill the Boot fundraiser. They could be seen standing on the corner of Red Wolf Boulevard and Nettleton in Jonesboro, of course, with their boots in hand. They were running to cars to collect all of those donations. Now, all of the money they collected goes to Muscular Dystrophy Association. MDA helps kids and adults that suffer from muscle diseases. Their goal is to raise $15,000.
This money isn't for us, it's not for the fire department. All this money will go to MDA, and they use that to help send children to camp, to help get medical equipment for people, and to help do research for these muscle diseases. So all this money goes back into the organization to help make the lives for those folks better.
Now, collections have finished up for the night, and we do not have a final total as of yet. Last time we did check, though, JDF had raised over $10,000. Well, there's some good news if you're looking for a job this summer. Hiring is not taking a summer vacation for the second consecutive year. Career Builder reports 41% of employers plan to hire seasonal workers this summer. Summer pay is also heating up. 25% of employers plan to pay $15 per hour on average. That's more than double the federal minimum wage. The vast majority of employers say some of those summer hires will transition into permanent jobs. Well, we heard Chris mention just a few minutes ago, we're expected to be greeted with some pretty warm temperatures and some high humidity this weekend. Dr. Ryan Stanton has more on how to stay safe in that extreme heat.
I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton, and just like the 80s Glenn Frey's song, The Heat Is On. With temperatures and humidity rising, the risks associated with being outdoors in the heat is going up as well. We want to talk about some of the things you can do to protect yourself. First and foremost, a contributor is going to be not only the temperature, but also the humidity. The higher the temperatures and the higher the humidity, the higher the risks of heat-related illness. Second is going to be, what are you doing outside? How much exposure do you have to those temperatures? Folks that work outside, including roofers and folks that are laying asphalt, they have increased risk not only because of being outside, but also the surfaces tend to increase the temperatures as well. Also, what are your medical conditions or health status? Age, medications, and other chronic medical conditions play a very important role in either protecting or increasing your risks of heat-related illnesses. There are some very important things you can do to help protect yourself. First is staying well hydrated. Drinking plenty of fluids. Recommendation is 1 cup of water for every 15 to 20 minutes that you're working outside. Also, replacing those electrolytes that you are losing through sweating. It's not just fluid that your 2.6 million sweat cells are losing, it's also salts, potassium, and chloride as well. Replacing those with fluids, but also electrolyte solutions, but more importantly, a well-rounded diet and snacks that can replace those. 2 is protecting yourself from the hottest times of the sun. Take advantage of the morning and the afternoon when you still have daylight, but the sun and heat are not as high. 3rd, take plenty of breaks and get into the shade. Give time for your body to cool off while you're rehydrating yourself. Taking breaks in order to get out of the sun, rest, and decrease that temperature. Finally, it's going to be protecting yourself and others. If you start to have symptoms, start to get fatigued, start to feel weak or tremulous, taking a special step to get out of that and to get cooler as much as possible and watching out for others. This is a great opportunity to take care of those around us, especially those who have increased risks or those that don't have the ability to remove themselves from the heat and from the sun. Everything we can do in times like this with increased temperatures and humidity will decrease the risk of ending up with me in the emergency department with a heat-related illness. For Northeast Arkansas News, I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton with a What's Going Around Extra.
And one good thing about that heat is it's only going to be around at least for one day this weekend.
I think for the weekend, Saturday will be the one that has, much like today, temperatures in the 90s, but it looks like a little bit cooler weather trying to move in on Sunday, but that could bring some strong storms to northeast Arkansas. Damaging wind and maybe some hail and heavy rain possible late tomorrow night and into early on Sunday. Before today, a high of 90 here, 85 degrees in our normal high this time of year. Had some rain overnight last night, almost a half an inch of rain falling in Jonesboro. We'll talk more about the heat and humidity for your Saturday, but a little bit cooler weather moving in by early next week. We'll do that when we come back.